So the running order for today is a little bit about the house rules, a little update on UnifiedFX ourselves, then we'll dive into the detail of what's new in version 4.3. So there's some key things in there in terms of Cisco compatibility and SIP approval, the new features in terms of custom grouping and filtering, made the search a bit easier, extended the data parsing from the phones, and also included the ability to get ITIL signatures. We've also come up with a way to kind of refresh individual or bulk IP addresses rather than having to kind of pull a whole list of phones down, so that makes life a little bit more convenient, and a little bit about what we've done to enhance the screenshot performance on the 9900 series. And then we'll tell you just a little bit more detail about one of our products, WallboardFX, and that will lead into a bit of a demo and a Q&A. So in terms of the session today, we are recording it. If you want a copy, please email sales@unifiedfx.com and we'll send you the link. Please use the Q&A panel when you're submitting questions, and please remember to use all panelists. It's probably just myself on today anyway, but it's always good to have it just for when I get some help for answering questions. It's always good. Yeah, as I say, use the Q&A channel. There we go. So in terms of a little update about UnifiedFX, one good thing, we're now a preferred solution partner. That's all possible because of the kind of further progression with our partnership with Cisco. One part of that is PhoneView is now SIP approved. So that means if you're purchasing or selling, whichever way around you're doing it, updates or a new Cisco IP telephony environment, etc., if you purchase PhoneView along with that and register for the SIP approval discount, then you can save some cost or margin or whatever way you want to look at it on that solution. So given that pretty much anybody with a Cisco IP telephony solution will get some benefit from PhoneView, we think that's really good because it could apply to pretty much everybody then. A key thing, we've also been around for a little while now, we've now got millions of phones that have now been licensed to manage Cisco phones, so there's a lot of it out there now, and it's certainly still proving to be very popular, which is we're really pleased about and glad everybody likes to use the product. The next thing is Wallboard. So you've maybe come across this before in some of our email updates, but if you are ever looking at a UCCX wallboard, please give this a spin. It's incredibly simple to install, just takes a matter of minutes. There's no plugins, it'll run on anything with a modern browser, including smart TVs, those kind of things. And the way we've engineered it, it's technically the fastest real-time updates possible, sub-second from the display to the event on the UCCX. So you kind of have to see it to believe how fast it is. And then finally, we've got MigrationFX as well. So we do separate kind of webinar events on MigrationFX if you want to find more detail. It's back at the events page where you register for this session. So we'll always kind of maintain at least one session a month on MigrationFX at the moment. And the thing about it is it's just incredibly simple to replace phones. As easy as unplugging the old phone and plugging in the new phone. So that's a kind of quick overview. Oh yeah, and the other thing is the MigrationFX has just passed IVT testing, and that's going in for SIP approval as well. So again, if you have a customer that's going to replace their phones or buy a bunch of endpoints, etc., not only can you get MigrationFX for free as part of a trade-in program, if you want to, you could actually use it as part of the SIP approval and get some of that extra discount as well. So specifically on the PhoneView side of things, as I was alluding to, we've passed the latest level of call manager testing. So it was already certified on 10.5, and now it's passed IVD testing for 11.0 as well. As I just mentioned, it's SIP approved, and obviously got all the good benefits with doing that program. And it is the only Cisco compatible and SIP approved product for this type of functionality to remotely manage and work with your endpoints. So if you're ever looking at a kind of remote control tool, etc., there's now quite a lot of benefit to bundling PhoneView along with a customer's solution. Okay, so that's the kind of highlights in terms of compatibility and SIP approval. We've also got the other products listed in the marketplace catalogue as well, if you want to have a look in there. So kind of delving into a little bit about the feature side of it. Effectively, it's a bit of a boring slide, unfortunately. I didn't get time to put a screenshot in there, but you'll see it in the demo. But the key thing is, this is one of our most requested features over the years, but it's been a little bit complicated to implement, so hence why we've not put it in sooner. But we've now come up with a relatively simple way to implement it and use it. And effectively, what this means is you can select one or more devices within PhoneView and assign those devices to a group of your own naming. So group 1, group 2, you know, building A, building B, those kind of things. It makes no difference. It's all up to your own choice now. And once you have those phones in a group, you can, with one mouse click, you can filter to them as well, which is obviously really important. I've got a couple of questions on, I don't know if you can hear me, on an audio bridge side. I don't want to say it's VoIP only. I'm terrible, I just cannot talk and type at the same time. I don't have that type of split brain. So it's basically means that if you get a whole range of devices and maybe you want to go back to a subset of them and there's maybe not something in the system that's common, such as device pools or something like that, which are incredibly easy to do already, this means you can grab, you know, a range of handsets, put them in your own group or groupings, and then with one or two mouse clicks, you can filter to them. So it's better to, you know, kind of show it to you rather than tell it to you, so to speak. So anyway, one of those highly requested features, so we're pleased to be able to finally deliver it. The next one is the searching side of it. So you know, maybe not the most obvious thing, but you can search within PhoneView. It's a traditional edit and then find kind of mechanism in the menu bar. But what we've actually done is, rather than having to kind of open a pop-out window and kind of separately interact with that, is we've now embedded the searching mechanism within the toolbar. So it's straight in the main interface. You don't have to, you know, pop out anywhere, so to speak. And then from that point of view, it's kind of like Microsoft Word is the way I like to describe it. You know, when how you do like a spell check and then you kind of find the next, and it kind of moves its way down within the document and finds that matching word or misspelled word, etc. Well, it's the same kind of idea. Whatever partial match that you have when you're doing searching, whenever you hit find, it will step its way through the list of devices that are currently available to it, and then, you know, show them, highlight that specific match, and then you can just step your way through. But again, it's something that you kind of need to see in action for it to make a bit more sense. But again, this is the kind of thing that we've maybe not had lots of demand to enhance the searching, but we thought it would go well in combination with the custom grouping. Okay, this one's a bit more complicated, so I'll try and take my time over this one. But if you think about the way that one of the key features of PhoneView and the way that it works is not only do we pull in information from Communications Manager, we also have the ability to gather data from each of the phone's web pages and other kind of locations too, but that's typically the phone's web page. Now, that gets us information such as serial number and firmware version, switch information, all that kind of good stuff. Now, we have on occasion had requests from customers to extend the data set that we query, and that's fine. You know, it's not too difficult for us to do, but you know, it can take a little bit of time for us to kind of test that through with all the different models and update the relevant code and libraries within PhoneView that handle that. But what we've actually decided to do is come up with a lot simpler way to kind of extend that mechanism. So there's still the inbuilt data gathering that's there, but what you can actually do is with a kind of config file, which I might not go into the technical detail, see how timing goes and interest kind of maintains. But what this custom parsing allows us to do is any data that we do not currently obtain from the phone, you can now get. Okay. Now the way that works is we've got a config file. Now it's really something that's best if we update because it is quite complicated. There's no GUI to it as such. We might do something like on that later, but right now it's just a kind of raw config file. And what that config file effectively contains is a combination of the command that you send, the model or models that it applies to, and the kind of location of that data, or the URL, of the phone's web page, and then the location within that web page of where that data is to extract. So a combination of those things goes into the custom data file, and if we build this out, then it means that we can grab any data from any phone's web page. So for example, kind of recently we had some customers asking about DNS server. Now that's not something that we currently have natively within PhoneView's kind of data view. But it's not too difficult to add because it's just another field on the phone's web page, obviously. But normally we would have to, recompile PhoneView, do lots of testing and hard code all of that, and then if we get anything wrong or some model information's out a little bit, we'd have to recompile again and publish and all that kind of stuff, which we can do actually quite very quickly, but it's still a lot of inconvenience for people. So it means that we can discretely and dynamically extend those rules. And the way that we've done that is we've added 5 custom fields onto data view. So in the table view where you see all the device information, at the very end there is now custom 1, custom 2, custom 3, custom 4, custom 5 columns. And what you can do is you can pull data from any location on the phone's web page and drop them into one of those 5 slots that you've got to play with. So therefore, if there's things like DNS server that we don't currently get, or some other value that is available on the phone's web page, and it might even be something that's a little bit unusual, only certain models have it, you can get that command to pull that for you. So some key points about it is it's best that we kind of need to help you with that config file. You could be brave, look at the config file yourself and give it a go, but you could kind of stop PhoneView from running if you edit incorrectly, so you need to make sure you revert back if you can. But really the way we want to approach this initially is that we'll help you to update that config file, but support assistance is obviously required, and to be fair, you need to have a support contract. If you're trialing the software, you're trying to do something in that field, obviously please reach out as well, during your trial period, and we can cover you for that config update as well. That's not a problem, because if maybe there's something you're trying to achieve, and it's obviously in both our benefit for you to be able to do it. So we're happy to cover that too. Another key aspect, which is part of the reason why we actually added a feature, is we now have the ability to gather the ITL signature. This is not really something we're publicizing too heavily at the moment. So there's a kind of hidden command that does this, but again, you can contact us at support at UnifiedFX to find out some detail. I might show it to you in the demo, see how that kind of plays out. But in fact, I can't, because it's only certain phone models in the lab I've got set up doesn't have it, if I remember. But it's one of the things that Cisco added on the newer range of handsets is ITL signature data, which is great to be able to validate more accurately if there's the correct ITL file on the phone. But it's always a shame with these things that it doesn't apply generally backwards. So it means your 7900 series, which might be the largest part of your estate, wouldn't be able to get ITL signature. So it's kind of best efforts for where the data is available, but at least in some situations you've got it, and you can use it in addition to obviously the ITL status capability as well. Okay, so another feature, another customer request, is the ability to refresh phone IP addresses. Now, you can always do this, but you would always have to do it, or you'd only be able to do it rather, via a group update. So that's within the PhoneView interface. You go to the group menu, you go down to update, and then you choose the cluster or clusters and update them. And it's a kind of big exercise. It's where we get the big, full list of phone devices, and we get the latest IP addresses, and we pull all that together. On a small lab system, that's no big deal, because it'll just take a matter of seconds. But when you have a big production cluster with 10, 20,000 phones and above, that group update mechanism can take several minutes, because it's a throttled API that we have to interact with. So we go as fast as we can allow the software to drive it. But there's there's a certain point where we just can't go any faster because obviously those APIs are throttled. So in order to hit that delta point when you do have a large number of devices and maybe their IP addresses are changing, what we've added is the ability to refresh selected phones. So you can select 1 phone, 10 phones, 100 phones, etc., and either individually or in bulk refresh those phones' IP addresses. So therefore, there's no longer a need to perform a group update. So you can just run with your working set of phones and just refresh just the IP address. That's obviously useful if the phone's been reset, maybe an ITL delete or some like an action like that, and it's possibly picked up a different IP address. That's sometimes the case if screenshots were working on the phone and then they stopped working because PhoneView might have the old IP address, the phone's picked up a different IP address, and therefore PhoneView needs to learn what that new IP address is. Normally, you would have to do a group update to fill that whole list down, but now that's no longer required. You can just select that individual phone or phones, and you can just do a query operation just to refresh that phone IP. So again, it's just to make life a little bit easier overall, which is, I guess, the kind of theme of this update. Okay, so the next one is the screenshot performance on the 9900 series. Now, I'm just looking at the clock here and I'm realising that it's 20 minutes past. This is going a lot faster than they normally do. I'm obviously not talking as much rubbish as I sometimes do, so I maybe got lots of time for questions at the end, so feel free to think up anything about UnifiedFX or just Cisco FPT that you like, and I'll do my best to cover it. But in terms of 9900 series screenshot performance, because we work particularly close with Cisco over the last couple of years, one of the things that's been a bugbear for everybody is the performance of taking screenshots on the 9900 series. Anybody doing a CCIE collaboration lab, etc., will have suffered that pain at some point in their career. And as much as we've engineered PhoneView to be as technically fast as possible in terms of the mechanics of screenshots and how it updates the interface, etc., there's no more delay for us to remove, and there hasn't been for quite a long time. But what we've done is we worked with Cisco, and they actually managed to update the firmware on the 9900 series and decreased the delay and increased the responsiveness. And if you've ever played around with this before, if you just browse to the phone and go to the screenshot URL and you kind of time it, you can do that quite easily in Chrome, etc., then what you'll generally find is it's about 9 to 10 seconds, even in a gigabit network, no delays in the middle, etc. The fastest that a 9900 series would typically return a screenshot would be in the order of about 9 or 10 seconds, which, kind of frustrating. But after we went through this exercise with the endpoint team, and we're working with the development engineers on this, they've now optimized that as best as they can within the parameters of the hardware that permits, without obviously degrading call and video quality, which is important. They've now managed to get that down to somewhere in the order of 3 to 4 seconds. What you might notice is, if you do play around with this, is when it gets to when it's in a video call, the delay can get a little bit longer. I've certainly seen it go up to about 5 seconds on occasion, because to be fair, the phone is still a little bit more. But if you're just working, out with a call or just a normal audio call, it will still stay within the kind of 3 to 4 second. And it's actually 5 seconds is an important threshold in this case, because whenever you press a soft key that has a timing element against it, the default timeout is 5 seconds. So if you're kind of looking at the phone screen, clicking a button, and there's greater than 5 seconds delay before that refreshes, you typically get out of sync with what's displayed on the phone and what you're trying to drive it with, especially those soft key buttons. Now, because it's down to the 3 to 4 second level, that confusion's gone. Now, one of the things that this is particularly useful for is testing video calls, obviously, and we'll actually put a little demo together and a little YouTube clip. I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to see if I can copy this. Give me a little second. I'm going to copy this URL out and I'll paste it in the chat window for everybody. Just at least you've got it for reference. I'm just going to send out that link. I'll just give you a little title for it as well, just to tell you what it is. So if you want to do remote video testing, there's a little YouTube video that you can watch that just shows it in action. What we did in that video is we had the 8865, which is the kind of new generation video endpoint, and the 9900 series, which, you know, as much as that phone is relatively new, is the older generation video, top-end video endpoint. And we've got both of them working together and showing you live video calling between the two of them. So that'll give you an idea of the performance of that. And the key thing that made it possible is that version of firmware that's listed 9.4 to SR2. So it was technically, we did this about a year ago, but it took quite a while before that engineering special made it out into the main branch, but that finally happened a couple of months back. So it's not so much that you need PhoneView version 4.3. Technically, an older version of PhoneView will work just as well, but we just kind of bundled this information in along with this update just to highlight that you know, this performance improvement is now available. Okay, so once I've mucked up my order of my slides, I'll be leading into the demo shortly. Before I do that, I just want to highlight a little bit about WallboardFX. As I've mentioned a little bit before, it's just for UCCX, but we do have plans to extend it out for things like UCCE. Technically, it's incredibly fast. As I was explaining earlier, you kind of need to see it to believe how fast it is. And I can't tell you why, right, because that's given trade secrets away. But if you compare how our wallboard works against a traditional wallboard, we've generally found it's anywhere in the order of 100 times faster. So a traditional wallboard might take, you know, 10 seconds roughly before it updates. Ours will take, you know, 100 milliseconds or less. In fact, sometimes quite a lot less. It's designed to be self-installed, so you literally just, you know, run the MSI, answer a couple of questions, and you're up and running. It also includes the concept of evergreen software. So the same way that when you've got your Chrome browser and effectively it automatically upgrades in the background, and when you close your browser and open it again, the new version is launched automatically, we've embedded that technology inside WallboardFX as well. So it means that when we publish a new version of software, it doesn't do this by default, you just turn it on, but if you do turn on the automatic software upgrades, then it will, in the background, download that new version, and by default, quarter to midnight, it will reboot and come back up with that new version. And because of how the client browser scenario works, it maintains a live connection. So when the server restarts, the browser automatically reconnects. So all that really happens is the display might, you know, go offline for about 20 seconds whilst the software upgrades and the service restarts. So it's incredibly efficient that way. It allows you it provides the ability to manage displays remotely. Now you kind of have to play around with this to kind of appreciate it, but normally you'd have like a wallboard would be installed against a display at some level. It might even just be a browser URL kind of hard coded or something like that, and you have to kind of muck around and have some kind of endpoint rendering. But in our case, you just browse to the kind of standard URL against all your different displays, and as I say, that can be a smart TV, for example, and what our admin interface does is it tracks all those connections effectively, and it allows you to identify which one's which, give them names, and also to centrally push out which display configuration they should use. So if you've got 5 different layouts, you can push automatically and remotely a particular layout to any one of your displays out of those 5, for example. So that's a particularly useful feature. So it means it's, so the whole thing is web-based. There's no need to jump into an endpoint, you know, a PC or something, and you know, update it or configure it or anything like that. Again, there's no plugins, so therefore there's no need for Flash or Silverlight or anything like that. That's all been skipped out. We just use pure HTML5 to enable that. Also, you don't need a PC, as I've kind of hinted at. So, like, you know, those little Android TV units, something that you can use that are particularly handy. We have tested on some smart TVs with our embedded browsers, and Samsung in particular works well. And as you can see from the URL there, again, it's, you know, we like to publish your software, make them easily to consume and try out. So feel free to grab a copy. Excellent. I'm now on the slide I thought it was on. Oh no, this is an old deck. I forgot I'll get that live published. I might just have to do that as part of that. So if you give me a little second, I'm just going to stop sharing this and I'll jump this guy over here. I'm going to have to close and open it, and I'm just going to share my screen in a second. Let's open the right thing up. 17178. There we go. Okay. Oh, do you know what I'm going to do? The resolution I'm with is quite high, and that sometimes causes a little bit of pain. What I'm going to do is just change my screen resolution. Just bear with me for a second. Oops. I'm still here. I'm just fighting with too many windows open. 2 seconds. Okay, I think that'll work a little bit better. So let me launch my PC again. Yeah, I think that should be a bit more readable now. Let me share that out. Okay. Now I have a confession. I haven't prepared anything for this demo, so I've literally just installed 4.3 on my machine about 10 minutes ago whilst I was talking. So there is a very good chance something will go wrong. I don't normally do this. I usually practice the demo portion. So you can have some fun at my expense if it doesn't work out. Okay, so I've got PhoneView running. I've installed 4.3. If you want to, before I publish the actual production version, it's actually already available. If you go to Help, About PhoneView, and what you can do is you can click this Include Beta Software Updates, and if you then do Help, Check for Updates, it will actually find the beta version of 4.3 that we've currently got published. And that's really the same thing we're going to publish either live right now, depending on time and conference, or else maybe later on today. But you can get it right now, basically, is my point, as a beta download. But today at some point we'll publish it as the default download as well. Okay, so let me just work my way through a couple of the feature changes, see if we can zoom in a little bit better here. Now, as I was talking about, we've got custom groups. Now, the way this works, and I'll try and take my time on this to explain it, is we've got this new elements here on the toolbar. So there's a little text box here and a button next to it called custom group. And the way this works is you select some phones, okay? So let me just select, in fact, let me do it this way. I go to these two, this row here, second row, and this little box here, I'll type in row 2, how about that? And then I click custom group. And before I click custom group, have a little look on the Data Explorer here. So it's got CM group, codec, and custom group. And when I click custom group, you can see I've now got a little plus icon because there's content in here. If I expand it, you can see I now have row 2 and it has 7 devices in it. And now if I note that, if you can read it, 146 is the first phone and 137 is the last phone. So if I click this filter here, it's now filtered to just those devices I added to that custom group. Okay, so let me just take that off. And how about I take a few more phones and add them in. So let's say, for example, I select this guy here. Now, technically this is row 3, but I'm actually going to add it to row 2 as well. And in this little box here, I could just type row 2, okay? But what we also do is we remember any of the custom groups that you've created, okay? So these are all, you know, end user driven. You create these as you need them. So if I could go row 2 like this, to choose the one that's here already. And if you watch carefully, it says 7 at the moment. And when I click custom group, it's now 14 because it's added that extra row. Okay. If I want to remove membership, because row 3 is not a member of row 2, I'm going to create a separate row 3, for example. I'll take the same devices and I leave the text box there blank, and then I click custom group. I usually want to delete custom groups from selected devices. Yes. And there we are. You can see if you look at the number there, it's gone down to 7 again. Okay. And just to prove it, remember row 2 starts on 146. So if I click filter, it's 146. It's just that row. Uncheck it, and we're back to all the phones. So let's do row 3. So ROW, oops, I could type properly. Now notice the auto completion there, so it's kind of remembered row 2, but I'm going to type 3, and then I hit custom group. And you can see we have another custom group entry. We've got row 2 and row 3 now, 7 devices on each. And if I click row 3, it's 136 to 126. If you can read the extension number on there, I'll just take that off to prove it. 136 to 126 is the extension number range on row 3. And if I click both of them, I can now see those 2 rows added together. Now, obviously, I'm just mucking around with doing it row by row, whatever way. But you could have filter down to device pool, have a range of devices in there, and then pick individual users that are maybe managers or secretaries. In fact, let's just do that. That's a good scenario, isn't it? So let's just pick randomly some 4 devices off that kind of bottom row there, and we'll go managers, and I hit custom group, and we can see those 4 devices are now in a custom group called managers. I can click that checkbox and it's filtered. So it's great. And let's just say I've got bored and tired with my custom groups and I just want to kind of get rid of it all. Control A to select all phones. Doesn't matter if they're a member of a custom group or not. And then I go, whilst that text box is blank, I click custom group. Are you sure you want to delete them? Yes. And it's all gone. And you can see there are no custom groups anymore. But let me add it back in again. In fact, I'll do row 1 this time. There's row 1. Let me just do row 2 as well. In fact, it should remember that for us. Oh no, it didn't. I think it's just the autocomplete was there. Oops, row 2. And we'll do row 3 as well. So I'm just going to show you something else in data view in a little second. I've also got these set. Row 3. So again, I've got kind of 3 rows populated here, a row of 7 phones in each one. But to show you how this information is stored, if I go to the data view and I'll scroll all the way over to the end of the table here, what you might notice, oops, if I could keep my mouse under control, sorry about that. Oh no, I've just mucked up my row definitions because I've resorted them. Let me try clicking that again. That's okay. It's not going to be very sensible. I'm just going to tell you what. Let me try that. Yeah. So what I accidentally did is I clicked the custom group column there. So it sorted them for me, row 1, 2, and 3. So as you might spot, all we're effectively doing when you type in the field and click custom, the text and click custom group, is populating this column for you. Now, rather than you editing these individually, which would be quite tiresome, it's kind of like a bulk edit, to populate this field for you. And then this data within here is summarized automatically. So with all the counts and unique values. What I've just noticed is I should have defined row 4. So what I'm going to do is do it from here. So if I select that bunch of phones, so I just jumped over and I did that. So I can see this in theory should be the last row. So what I'll do is row 4. And click that guy, and you can see it reordered it because it's obviously alphabetically at the end. So I've got row 1, 2, 3, and 4. I go back to screen view here, and I can do row 1, 2, 3, and 4, and add them all in bit by bit if I wanted to as well. I'll take that off, go back to the beginning. So hopefully you'll like that and you'll find it useful. One important note. You could call it a limitation or just a preference, is you can only make a phone a member of one custom group at a time. We did contemplate allowing phones to be a member of multiple custom groups, but that was going to get pretty complicated very quickly. So they thought it was actually a lot simpler if we just allow them to be a member of one group at a time, because it means it's very easy to just change memberships. And you can define as many devices, as many or as little as you like anyway, and you can obviously combine them just through the filters there. So we'll be keen to get feedback from customers just to see what they, how they use it, what they do and do not like about it, and maybe there's some kind of technique we could look at in the future for multiple groups at the same time, but just keep in mind it's only one group. So for example, if I filter to row 4, like so, right, see it's called row 4 there, and I'm going to go and call it last row instead, and I do custom group, you'll note that it's last row now, and there is no row 4 anymore, and it's called last row over there. So effectively, it's like renaming it as well. Okay, so that's the custom grouping feature. I want to spend a little bit of time on it. I haven't been keeping track of questions, so maybe there'll be a couple of questions about it, which I'll come back to if there is. So the next feature I wanted to show you, my time's a bit better now. I think the demo portion is always the most important anyway, so thankfully I've got myself plenty of time. Now, the next thing I want to explain to you is the custom data parsing. Now, it's maybe just something I'm going to have to describe a little bit, but effectively, these 5 fields here I was discussing in the presentation section, this data can work to your own advantage, and there's 2 ways you can use that. You can either use it with the custom parsing, so with the XML rules that I was talking about, and we'll help you to build out rules to populate, for example, things like DNS server or any other field that we don't have, and map them against a particular custom field. Anytime this does have data in it, it's editable as well, so the ABC, you'll see that it also appears in here automatically. So there's lots of ways to interact with this custom data. So as I say, one way is the extra parsing capability. So that's a bit more complicated, and it's just if you want to get extra data from the phone. But you actually can use it if you wanted to as an extension of the custom grouping. So it's not as simple as obviously selecting a range of devices and bulk updating them in a single button press, but if you wanted to, you can directly type in here. So for example, let me pick another one here, and I'll do ABC as well, like so, and you can see it now has, under the custom 1 heading, 3 entries with ABC in it. Now, an important point is this data can be exported and imported as well. So I'm not going to show that stuff, but just talk you through it a little bit. So if you do File, Export, either all records, selected, filtered, etc., then this entire table will be saved to a spreadsheet for you, including these custom fields. And conversely, you could later on do an import, and what happens is it looks up the headings, and it doesn't import everything. It really just imports things like the user column, which is for like logged in user status, and these custom field values. So what you could do if you wanted to is you could export all the data, reference another data source. For example, it could be desk positions, maybe got a desk ID, and because we have the ability to get switch information, you could correlate that. So let me just kind of quickly grab that. So if I select all the devices, I do query, switch information, grab that for all these phones. So I've now got, by pulling it from the phone's web page, all this switchport information. Now just imagine somewhere, a database or a spreadsheet, that you knew all the switch and switchport mappings to your desk locations. So what you could do is you could export data from PhoneView, correlate it with your switchport information to get the desk position, populate one or more of these custom fields with that desk position information. You might have building, column, custom 1 could be your building or your location, custom 2 could be the floor number, and custom 3 could be the pod area, and then custom 4 could be the specific desk number. That's different ways you could structure it. It's your choice. That's why we've got more than one custom field, so you can have different kind of subcategories. And that would mean if you bring that data in with file import, so that's just file import, so you just update the spreadsheet basically, and it will pull in that custom data against the corresponding phones. That means that you could then filter on these custom fields by you know, floor, area, you know, building, all these kind of criteria that could be specific to your environment. So, you know, again, we're keen to get feedback on that. We try to design it so it's kind of flexible, we'd handle a couple of different situations. So if there's anything we kind of missed or other ways of using it we hadn't thought of, that you know you discover you're able to use it with, then please let us know. That would be appreciated. Okay, so that's the kind of custom data side of it. So let me do a bit of searching now. So I'll do it from screen view actually. I kind of prefer doing it from here. So imagine I've got a big long list of phones, and the best way I can simulate that is by zooming in to see a couple of phones. Okay, so you know, if you had 10,000 devices in here, you know, the 10, 20, or 100 that you're kind of viewing, you know, you would see just a portion of your phone estate at any one time, obviously. But let's say I want to jump down and find a particular device. Now, previously, it would be edit, find, pops out the kind of find dialog box, and you search in there. That's still available if you want to use it. But what we've effectively done is we've taken the content of that find form and we've embedded it into the toolbar as well. So if I go to, so that's the search text, and that's the criteria. So for example, if I go to directory number and I type 79127, for lack of a better guess, of an extension number, and then I hit find, what you'll see is it scrolls down and then selects the next match. Now that's a specific one because it's only one device, but let me just take a character away. So there should be a couple of phones that match those 4 digits. So if I hit find, it's going back to the top, and if I keep hitting find, you can see, kind of doing a bit quickly there, it's stepping its way through the list of devices for any that match. So as I was trying to describe there, it's a bit like Microsoft Word when you're searching through. So we just thought that would be handier. So maybe you keep wanting to find the same device and it's by MAC address, you just put part of the MAC address in there and do by device name, and you know, just hit the find button and you'll always go back to that phone. A handy tip which we sometimes explain to people, which isn't always obvious, is technically the activity log also can help you find phones as well. If you're not aware of this, you can actually double click a log entry, and if that log entry has the device name on it, it will jump to and select that device. So if I double click one of these entries here, you can see it's selected the one that ends in 47D, which matches that log entry. If I double click the next one above it, it goes to that one. So it means if you were performing actions on a range of devices and maybe, you know, something failed or something different happened on a particular device and you want to go back to it, you can just double click it in the log file. That's actually been there for a while, but I thought that might be worth mentioning in combination with that find feature. Okay, so let's see, we're kind of getting nearer the time. I think the last 2 things I probably want to show you is the update IP address. Now, I'm not going to bother resetting a phone or anything like that. I'll just show you how the update works. So all these addresses are connected at the moment anyway. But if I select some devices here, and now, as I was trying to explain earlier, normally you would do group update and choose a cluster. Just so you know, update is disabled whilst other things are in the queue. So because I'm taking screenshots, update isn't possible. So it's another good reason why the IP address update's handy, because I would have to normally switch off automatic updates and make sure the queue is empty before I would be able to do a group update anyway, because you can't do the 2 at the same time. But in this case, I can now individually or discretely get those IP addresses. So if I open up query and I go down to the bottom, I'll get this new entry called update IP address. So I can do all the devices here if I want, or just the selected row. So I'll just do selected 5 here. And what it should do, although maybe not initialize it properly, is it's not really going to do anything because all IP addresses are correct anyway, but you can see the log entries there. So it sends a command out to get the IP address to each of those devices and it's reported a success. So if the address was different, it would update it, and you know, things like screenshots which would stop working if the IP address was wrong, you know, they'll start to kick into life with the updated IP address. So again, that was customer feedback for adding that feature. What was the last one? What was that? Yeah, I think that was it actually. Yeah, maybe I've forgotten something. I'm not going to show you the video stuff. See, that's why I gave you the YouTube link to watch that video yourself of how the 9800 series kind of performance works. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to pause the sharing there, jump back to my slide deck if I can track that down. Oops, yeah, I think I saw it somewhere. There we go. And share that. And I think we'll be maybe a last bullet point and then Q&A. Excellent. I tell you what, I would normally do a live publish, but to be honest, I'm a bit lazy today, so I'm going to skip that. So as I say, I showed you how to get the beta version at the moment. Later on today, we'll do that publish, and just from the normal download, you will anybody downloading from that point onwards will get it as well. So we'll probably do that in the next hour or two. Let's just straight into the questions. So let me open up the Q&A panel and see if there's any. So just audio connection questions there. 8800 series. Okay, so there's a question about the 8800 series, but I didn't get the context of when that was asked. I'm going to take a guess. It's probably about screenshots, maybe. Well, the 8800 is supported. It has been for a little while now. I think we added it in 4.2 actually. So yeah, we can do anything you need to with the 8800 series, screenshots, ITL deletes, asset and inventory data, stuff like that. Someone's asking for, oh, that looks like a good question popping in there. Let me just grab that. Someone's asked about cost for Wallboard FX. It's a per agent model, concurrent agents, very competitively priced. I don't do commercials, I'm afraid, so I can't help you there. But please just email sales@unifiedfx.com. and tell us how many agents, concurrent agents you've got, and we'll fill you in on pricing. Okay, when will PhoneView 4.3 be available for download? Later today. How can we identify phones with bad or old version of CCM ITL file versus phones with newer CCM ITLs, then erase and delete them? Okay, I mean, we've kind of covered that in detail ages ago, and do you know what? I think we'll do a refresher webinar session on that. So a good year, 2 years ago almost, we did a session specifically on managing ITL files, but to be honest, there's still lots and lots, or everybody still hitting ITL file issues consistently. So I'll tell you what, I'm not going to set up right now, but let me put a date in our events calendar for about a month from now roughly, and I'll do a dedicated session just on ITL files and stuff like that. So please, we'll send you an email kind of announcement thing. So please, if you don't mind, check your email announcements when we ping it out, and we'll do a session just on managing ITL files, and we'll drill into the kind of detail. Because we've now got the ITL signature information, it just gives you a second angle to kind of work on. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to cover the detail of it right now, but at a very quick level, we have a concept of ITL status that we created a couple of years ago, and that just queries the phone's web page, parses the log information, and will give you, updated, failed to update type messages. The report we generate actually gives you guidance on whether or not you've got issues and how many phones have issues and stuff like that. This new ITL signature is just another column in PhoneView. This is a kind of thing we're not really publishing right now, but we'll definitely cover it in that webinar, is we can get the signature for certain phone models, 7800, 8800 series certainly, and we can get that. So to be fair, status is the best at the moment still, because it covers effectively all the models, whereas ITL signature is only on the newer handsets, unfortunately. But at least if you do have newer handsets, you can be absolutely precise on which ITL file is on there because you've got the signature value from it. How to bulk delete ITL files if the phone are not registered? That's a very good question. Worth mentioning right now. Again, I'll cover that in a follow-up session because it does seem to be very relevant still. But basically, PhoneView uses two mechanisms to communicate with the phone. It uses CTI and HTTP. And what the software does is, if it knows the phone is registered or unregistered, it automatically chooses one protocol or the other. So if the phone is registered, it will use CTI. If the phone is unregistered, then it uses HTTP. So it's quite simple, really. So just as long as we know the status correctly, then we will automatically use the appropriate protocol on the phone. If you're going to do a phone that's not registered, there are some prerequisites though. You need to make sure that the web server is enabled. You need to make sure the authentication URL is correct and valid. The authentication URL needs to be non-secure, okay? Even the one in the secure authentication URL field in enterprise parameters, that needs to be HTTP on port 8080, not HTTPS, because that gives you a catch-22 with the ITL file and it would break authentication. So, as I say, I think I'll do a dedicated session on that because it still seems very relevant. Yep, we'll have a recording of the session. Someone just asked about that, so please email sales@unifiedfx.com for that. What codec can be used with the remote audio feature in TDM and SIP? So, good question. PhoneView itself, if you're listening through PhoneView, that only supports G711. However, you can actually do remote audio through a physical phone. We'll actually have a video. If you go to our YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and search for UnifiedFX. Inside our YouTube channel, there is a remote audio video in there, and it demonstrates both mechanisms, both playing audio through PhoneView and playing it through an IP phone. If you play the remote audio through an IP phone, then all codecs are supported. Okay. Now, technically, you can still listen to different codecs even through PhoneView, but it requires a transcoding element to take care of that. So we can only receive G711, so the CTI port, if you're using it in PhoneView, has to be all configured for G711 support and any transcoding resources available to it. So if the call on the remote endpoint is, say, G722, for example, the transcoder will downgrade that to G711. And PhoneView will play that out. So you can still listen to different codecs, but natively we can only listen to G711, so the audio quality might not be exactly the same as the end user experience. But if you nominate an admin phone, as we call it, so just right click on a phone, choose admin phone, whenever you monitor a call, the call will get sent to the admin phone, and Cisco phones support all the different codecs, therefore the codec will stay the same. So you want to be able to sort phones by reference of CSV file to filter by MAC addresses. Yeah, any of the columns in DataView, you can click the header, as I accidentally did earlier, and it will sort by that column. And you can import data to those custom fields. So if you've got external data referenced by CSV, you can do an export from PhoneView, update those custom columns, import that data with your custom CSV information, and then you could sort by custom 1, custom 2, custom 3, etc. Sorry, someone else asked about 4.3 available, so that will be later today. DX series, yes, we have a way to support DX series. We're not published it yet. If you have anybody who wants to manage DX endpoints, please contact us directly, because we've got a prototype version of PhoneView that you could play around with, but it's all super secret sauce, so I can't explain how we do it publicly. But if you do want to manage DX endpoints, please contact us, sales@unifiedfx.com. The same applies for Java. Now, PhoneView already works with IP Communicator. There's a checkbox when you edit the cluster where you can include them. But in a new version coming up, we'll also be including Java support along with the DX, and remote monitor session on a soft phone like Java. So again, in the next release of PhoneView, which will most likely be 5.0, no date on it, but we do have beta early alpha versions if people want to try it. In the alpha version of PhoneView, we do have DX and Java endpoint support, and that does allow us to do remote audio in those endpoints too. Okay, well, let me just check. Oh no, there's another question elsewhere. Keep track. I got that one. That's the same question. Oh man, lots of chat messages. Excellent. No, thanks for all these great questions. I do appreciate it. Okay, can we add additional fields to the Data Explorer? Now, maybe this came in earlier, before I was describing it, but yes and no. So you can add your own fields, but the custom fields that were created, as in custom 1, custom 2, custom 3, etc., yes, they are now in the Data Explorer, and any content in those cells will be automatically summarised. Now, feel free to contact us at support@unifiedfx.com if that doesn't answer your question. Maybe have a bit more clarity is required. But if you may be thinking if there's other columns that we have there already, then that would be a feature enhancement. But happy to take that feedback on board. If there's anything that we have not added to Data Explorer that you think we should add in there. Oh, okay, that's a good question. Are there any plans to update the look and feel of the keypad to emulate more closely the actual phones? Yes, but it's a two-stage plan. We've got something we're working on in the background, which is, I don't know, there was another question about can this feature be disabled. I'm not really sure which feature that was relating to. No, sorry, I misunderstood one of the questions there. In terms of the keypad, though, we've got a two-stage plan. We're doing another secret sauce project, which relates to keypads and stuff like that. So once that project is finished, we'll take the work from that and then we'll bring it back into PhoneView. So it might not make it into version 5, which we're planning for the middle of this year. So it might be near the end of the year before you kind of see an updated keypad. To be fair, the keypad is model independent, so it doesn't really matter which keypad you're using. What we might do is change the default to the 8800 kind of series, and also we're terrible sometimes at missing textual descriptions and not make them completely accurate. The keypad layouts work for 7800, 8800 as well as the listed ones there as well. Oh, there's a question on MigrationFX, one of my favourite topics at the moment, asking for a video. 2 seconds, because actually I should have pasted this. Let me just get you a link on MigrationFX. And there we go. So I'm going to paste a little link here. So there's a special page on our website for MigrationFX. It's just, unifiedfx.com/MigrationFX. If you go there, that's kind of got lots and lots of information, in particular videos there. Why can't we purchase without an upgrade project? Oh, right, maybe this is from previous times. So MigrationFX was originally only on the Cisco GPL as a promo code, but is now available for direct purchase. So you do not need to have an upgrade project anymore if you want to buy MigrationFX. You can always come and talk to us directly and buy it directly as well. But there's now 2 sets of part codes. There's the promo code, which only apply to the TMP trade-in program, but now you can just buy it generally, or anybody can buy it from the straight GPL. So yes, please feel free to buy as much of it as you like. Okay, let me just check in case any other questions. No, I think that's it. Only 1 minute past there. That's not too bad, and my demo didn't screw up, which is good. So again, appreciate everybody's time. Watch out for the ITL delete webinar, which based on the questions I think is absolutely worth doing again. And oh yes, I always forget things. We're going to be in San Diego next week for the partner conference. So anybody's a Cisco partner attending, please email us again, sales@UnifiedFX. It'd be great to meet up. And then secondly, we'll be at Enterprise Connect in Orlando. So we've got our own stand there, part of the Cisco booth, and we'll be demonstrating or doing live demonstrations of MigrationFX as well. So if you want to see it in action and you're at the event, come and see us at our stand. And we'll be in Las Vegas as well. So it's a conference. Crazy year this year, so we'll have actually we might have 2 stands ironically in Las Vegas. One's definitely confirmed, but we may actually have a second as well. So if you're going to Las Vegas for Cisco Live, then again, please say hello, and we'll show you whatever you want to see. Thanks for everybody's time, and hopefully see you on one of the next follow-up sessions again. Events.unifiedfx.com, and enjoy the rest of your day.